You are listening to the Spurs-Related podcast. Listen for free on Anchor and Spotify.
Hello guys and welcome to the Spurs-Related podcast. And as normal, I am joined by my co-host Joseph McBride today. And as you can see below, guys, we've got a very special guest. We've got Antony Costa from Boy Band Blue. So welcome on in, Antony. Very pleased to have you on today.
Thank you so much for having me, lads. It's it's a bit of a whirlwind at the moment. Yeah, just trying to get my head around everything.
Absolutely. And how are you feeling anyway? How's life and how's life in general?
So far, so good, lads. Life's good. Yeah, I'm still grafting away and still doing stuff. So yeah, it's all good, man.
Brilliant. And still obviously following Spurs as closely as you can when you get the time.
Well, as much as I have to, mate. You know, it's been a bit of a, it's been a terrible time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're going to get onto it, but it's the first time in so many years, I feel 40 years I've been on this earth, and it's the first time properly I feel a little bit disconnected with my club, and it's horrible to hear that and horrible to see.
Yeah, so I mean that is a real sad thing to hear. Obviously, you've grown up with the highs and the lows through the years, but obviously, like you're saying, it is a real low point at the moment. Joe sort of comes from a different background. He's got more of a Liverpool background, but I'm feeling your Tottenham low at the moment, 100%. So anyway, let's crack on with what we're going to talk about today. So, Antony, what's your sort of opinion and feeling over the managerial rumours and the fact that Fonseca, Roma manager, almost like a swap deal with Mourinho? He's very close to joining. How are you feeling?
Very underwhelming. I feel it's 51 days or 52 days for a swap deal. That normally happens on a transfer window. Do you know what I mean? You sell supposedly your best player at the beginning and then end up getting a loan deal right at the end on the 11th hour. I feel it feels a bit rushed to me, even though it's been 51 days. But we were in talks with obviously Poch coming back. My favourite, Conte should be at Spurs as we speak. He should be taking over because that would have shown intent. It would have shown what that the board mean business. But obviously they've gone for, it seems, the cheaper option. Sort of yes man. That's not going to demand a lot. And hopefully, let's see who he brings in and the players. Let's see if they can deliver.
Absolutely. And do you feel like it's kind of because obviously Paratici, the new sporting director, do you almost feel like you're saying it's the easy option, he's the yes man? Do you feel like Spurs have just literally gone for the low budget option and tried to get sort of a low option based on the fact that Conte fell through, Pochettino, it's all gone quiet on that one. You know, it's almost like you're saying it's the low budget, poor option. Is it really disheartening for you?
Very disheartening, lads. I mean, when you're being linked to people like Antonio Conte, who 2-3 weeks ago just won the league with Inter Milan, and then you're getting linked with a guy that's come exactly the same as Spurs, come seventh, conceded the same amount of goals. I think we scored a few more goals than they did last season. Same points, same Europa Conference League, same this, same that. It just feels like the most banter swap deal ever. And I want to be proven wrong. I mean, people are saying give the guy a chance if it's Patrici's, guy, but I doesn't fill me with much confidence, lads. It smells a bit like AVB Mark II for me.
Yeah, that's a very good summary, actually. Like, AVB was the most disheartened I've been with a manager in recent years. And it does feel like that. Everyone almost going against it before it's even gone through. Obviously, it's not a certain yet, but it's looking very likely. Obviously, what we hope for is like the Conte situation where it looked almost done and it fell through. So it could benefit us that way.
But this will get done, mate. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean? There's
3
things. I always say there's 3 things in life that you're guaranteed, and that's death, taxes, and Spurs letting you down. So always remember that, lads. Always remember that, mate.
Spot on. I'm going to go quickly over to Joe. Joe, how obviously from a neutral situation, how are you feeling, Joe, about Fonseca being very close to joining? I know you're probably laughing at us like the banter club that Antony's saying, but how are you feeling about it?
I'm not. It's gone from being quite funny to actually like I feel quite sorry for you all now. Like it's the joke's kind of it's not a joke anymore. It's a bit disheartening, like even from my point of view. To give him credit, I do watch a lot of Italian football. He's very attacking minded, and I think that's what Spurs have been wanting for a while. And he's good at developing young players, which is the thing that fell through with Conte. He wanted players that were ready then and wanted to spend a lot of money, whereas this other guy is known for his attacking football, which could work. But at the same time, like Antony said, it's like going for chorizo on your pizza and then getting spam. Like it's just kind of it's just he's fallen through. Let's just go for another Italian, lower down in the league by 6 places. He's got a bit of a reputation. Let's give him a go. It's just very sideways. But I'd like to be proven wrong as well. I've got a lot of love for Italian football, but it's a bit of a bizarre one, to be honest.
Absolutely. I think the yes man kind of analogy that Antony uses is spot on. It seems like an option where he's going to agree with Levy and all the directors about everything. Like you got like someone like Mourinho who will push for a player. He'll really push for it. He won't say no, take no for an answer. You got this guy. I can't like say, oh, he's going to be terrible and everything, but it doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence, really. Antony, anyone you'd want to see other than Fonseca, other than probably anyone, but is there anyone that you'd really want to see?
I think for me, we should have gone all out for Conte, 100%. 100%. There's no one else. There's no one else for me. If you're pushing me, if you want to go British, for example, maybe a Graham Potter. People like the way he plays football. I think they play good football, but you got to remember they were 16th, 17th this year. So, I mean, and he's got not a bad side. Obviously, they beat us. They turned up against Spurs, but like all these other clubs do. But for me, it should have been Conte. It should have been Conte. It's not. It just feels just not good enough.
Going on the whole sort of Antony again. Going on the whole sort of like it's disheartening that it fell through. When you heard the kind of talks about, a lot of sources saying we gave him 3 million too less on the salary budget, and obviously 3 million nowadays, is half a sort of a Harvey White. It's not a lot of money, and the fact that we didn't then up that 3 million, we didn't give him what he wanted to bring the staff over. Do you think that that's Levy too much in control and Enoch just not?
100%.
Yeah.
James, it will never change, mate. It will never change. Me and you and Joe can sit here all day till the cows come home and talk about this, and it will just never change until it changes at the top, until they start letting maybe this director of football guy, Paratici, coming in and taking over and doing what he wants to do and doing what he does best, so to speak. But it doesn't fill me with confidence when the first guy he's approached, which is Fonseca, I don't know, but is it Fonseca?
Yeah,
is that how you pronounce his name?
I think.
Is his first choice, and it literally does not fill me with confidence. Really doesn't.
Spot on. Yeah. We'll go off on the manager thing for a bit because it's very depressing, as we know. So we'll go on to sort of your summer transfer window. So I kind of thought of a good question to ask you in terms of who would you want to bring in. So say the inevitable. Let's hope it doesn't happen, but say Harry Kane leaves. What would you want to do with that sort of 150, 200 million pound if we were then to reinvest it?
Yeah. Do you trust these guys to reinvest your money, that X amount of pounds? I certainly don't. I want to be proven wrong. We need 2 centre halves. I think there's talks of Anderson. I like him from Fulham. Knows the Premier League. There was talks of Milankovic as well from I think Fiorentina. You've got the Juventus guy. Is it Demiral? Demiral or something?
Turkish one.
Turkish player, good player. We need 2 centre midfielders and a striker. We do need a striker. We need a second striker. I don't want to be hearing back up for Kane. I don't want to be hearing that. We need a second striker. Every other team in that Premier League have got 2 strikers. Why is it the Spurs are never allowed to have 2 strikers? Because I'm fed up with people going, oh, well, he ain't going to sit on the bench. Well, I'm sorry. You've got 38 Premier League games this season. You've got your FA Cup, you've got your League Cup, and you've got a bit of Europe as well. So 9 times out of 10, whoever comes in as a second striker will get lots of games.
Absolutely.
I'd like Ben White. I think we've been linked with him.
He's a good player.
I think he's a good player. I'd love Basuma. from Brighton. I just want Prem experienced players, mate. Obviously, you're going to need a couple of players from overseas. That's fine. But the basis, I would love Premier League players, because I'm fed up of, coming on talking about things on shows like this where we're going, yeah, but you've got to give this person time and this person time. Lamella's been there 8 years. How many more time can we give him? Do you know what I mean? 100%. I'm sorry. He needs to go. He needs to go. Winks needs to go. Sissoko needs to go. These players that have been there far too long now. It needs a rebuild. And I don't mind a painful rebuild as long as we see where we're going.
Absolutely. And like you're saying, as long as we start off like this summer by sorting the Winks out, get rid of Winks, get rid of Sissoko, even Dyer, get rid of them and start rebuilding. And I know it's not going to take one window, but if it goes over 1 or 2 windows, at least we're doing something about it that we should have done, like you said, 4 or 5 years ago with Lamela, really. I mean, he didn't hit the ground running in his first 2 or 3 seasons. The fact he's still here, I do have a soft spot for Lamela, but I do think it's time to go now. It's been far too long of being average.
It's been so long, James.
Let me just get your opinion on sort of so that there's two players I want to kind of address based on what you've said. So you said about the second striker. What are your opinions on Carlos Vinicius this year? Do you think he should have got more of a chance, or do you not think he's good enough?
I think he's good enough, mate. Nah, he's not good enough. He don't know the Prem, mate. He didn't know the Prem. I'm not going to talk about 2 goals against Marine, or I'm not going to talk about 2 goals against this side or that side in really bad European games at the Europa. I want a striker that will come in and hit the ground running, because he knows the Premier League. Like I always say, I love a Danny Ings, that type of player. A number 9, whereas if Kane is going to stay, please God, he could drop off. It could be the number 10. We'll get a 9 up front. Do you know what I'm saying? But all these players that come in and just, we've had it over the years, Janssen, Soldado, Vinicius, it just hasn't worked out. It just hasn't worked out. You look at Liverpool, they brought in Minamino, good player, but he couldn't hit the ground running at Liverpool, but he's doing all right at Southampton. So maybe give and take, it could be all right. But no, I'm not all about giving players time. I can't be asked with it anymore.
And I guess you're kind of, from your experience of watching Tottenham, I guess it's also the case of like we were saying with Lamela, where you give them time and they sort of hang around in the cobwebs of the club and leave. He doesn't do anything about it, because it should be a case of you give them 2 or 3 seasons. If they're not cutting the mustard, time to go, really, isn't it? It really is.
Look at, Chelsea do it. Man United do it. Man City obviously do it. Why can't Spurs do it? Why can't Spurs? If you want to be a top 4, 5, 6 side, you've got to start competing. You've got to start showing intent. And I'm fed up of waiting and hearing this one's been linked, that one's been linked. Go and get your top strikers. Go and get your top targets.
Spot on.
It's just so annoying. Sabitzer, I'd take. I think there's rumours of Sabitzer, but again, who knows?
So what about sort of a Skriniar as well from Inter Milan that we've been linked with, centre back? Would you want someone like him?
Skriniar, that type of player, but he won't come, mate. No, not a chance.
Boat sailed on that one again.
No. Boat sailed. We took our time. Anderson, I'll take from Fulham. He knows the Prem, and he's a good player. Reminds me of like a young Jan Vertonghen. Do you know what I mean? Very easy on the eye, good with the ball, can play out from the back. And I really liked him when he played against us. I thought he was probably their man of the match for sure.
Yeah, sure. What about Steven Bergwijn? Opinions on him, or do you think it's sort of one more season and then if you don't cut it, time to go?
He's a good squad player, I suppose. He's a squad player at best. Do you know what I mean? I think he deserves a one more season for sure. When the fans are proper back, I don't think we've seen the best of him. I think he's got ability. Is he a starter for me? Probably not. But as I said, he's a good squad player.
Agreed. We'll go over to Joe quickly. I know he's been very quiet. Joe, what sort of players do you think Spurs should be signing this year in the summer, and who should be the first to address? Should it be centre back? Should it be striker? Well, obviously, if Harry Kane leaves, it'll be striker. But if Kane weren't to leave, who do you think should be addressed first?
Yeah, as you say, if Kane goes, you've got to fill that quickly, and you've got to get someone that's worthy of being there. If he goes, you've got to get one of the other best strikers in Europe if they want to come. But yes, your defence has got to be addressed quickly, because your centre-back partnership changed so many times this season, and it's so fragile. Like it's a shambolic partnership. Fullbacks aren't good enough, but in comparison to the centre halves you have, especially with Toby going out, you got to get someone good there. Prem experience. I think Anderson's very good. I think there's going to be a lot of teams that are going in for him. But if Tottenham can get there, I think they've got themselves a good player. So I agree with that completely. Yeah, I mean, what Anthony said, you need a whole spine, basically. It's going to take a long time, but you've just got to get underway with it. You can't just keep putting it off and, giving players time, waiting for something to happen that's just not going to happen. Otherwise, you're just going to keep ending up finishing where you're finishing, just getting walked over. So, I mean, one thing I'd say to Anthony, you're saying about Ben White, a great player, Basuma, 2 players from Brighton, and you've said about Graham Potter earlier. Do you think that would work if he did come in and he brought those players with him? Do you think that would be a good thing?
Joe, if he did ever come in, it's not going to happen now. But if he did, I'd love him to bring in them two for sure. Lamptey as well. What a revelation he was. Do you know what I mean? Really good player. And yeah, Basuma, Lewis Dunk as well. They're good players, mate. They're not well beaters, but I don't want 11 world-class players in a team. I want a good spine of players. I want a good team with a couple of world-class players for sure. But, we're not Man City, so don't go and try and compete with them. Try and compete with the likes of, Everton are going to spend. Villa are spending. I don't want to be get left behind. I'll take a punt on James Ward-Prowse, for example. Great dead ball player. Great free kick taker. We haven't scored a free kick since Eriksen left. And that was 18 months ago. It's a joke, man. It's an absolute disgrace. We haven't. Please show me the stats if we've scored a free kick this season.
You're spot on.
I don't think we have.
You're spot on. I don't think we have.
I don't think we have. So, a James Ward-Prowse type player, as I said, good with the ball, can cross a ball, can get a free kick. Last 15 minutes, he's going to hit the target. Whereas, as much as I love Harry Kane, he's not a good free kick taker. Do you know what I mean? He can't be good at everything. That's fine, but he just wants the ball, which is that's just him. That's just him all over. He's world class. But yeah, I want people in their positions doing what they do. I don't want to pick out Lamella, but he's been there so long. This time next year is his testimonial year. And he's only scored 16 goals in 9 years. That's 2 a season. That's a joke.
That's poor, yeah.
That's not good enough. Listen, I don't want to pick the guy out, but yeah, but when I hear things like, he runs around a lot, and I'm like, behave yourself. Come on.
That's what they're paid to do.
Yeah, but do you know what it is, James? Some fans are too sentimental, mate. They're too sentimental. You've got to be hard. That's why Mourinho didn't work out at Spurs, because he was too hard on them. Some players don't want to be told the truth. Do you know what I mean? Which is that's just their prerogative. That's just how they are. So, but this new guy, he's going to be a yes man. Sorry,
he is. I was going to say, like you mentioned, Villa spending money. Sort of like they've just signed a big player in Buenadir from Norwich, quality player. What does it not dishearten you that we're not in the pipeline for these kind of players earlier?
100%, mate. 100%, James. And this is what I'm saying. They're already making changes to their squad, and they have got a good squad. They've got a very good squad of players. Jack Grealish, unreal. Konsa, brilliant defender. Louise, very good player. They've got a great keeper. They're making changes. They're doing it now because they see where their potential is. Us, like, we just sit on our laurels and rate a player because he had a good 45 minutes against Arsenal because he scored a Rabona, or Harry Winks because he had a really good first half against Real Madrid 4 years ago. I'm like, behave yourself. What's he done? What have these players done? Did these players get the game by the scruff of its neck and take it to them? Never.
No.
So I'm fed up with this sentimental crap that I hear.
Spot on.
Sorry.
Spot on. No, that's like the emotions, quality. I think. No, carry on. In terms of sort of if Harry Kane was to leave, touch wood, it doesn't happen, but if it does happen, sort of going with, obviously, like you said, Tottenham being a disappointment in the window every single time, who would you want as the replacement for Harry Kane in that number one striker spot?
Well, I don't know the answer to that, James. I don't know who is out there to even compete with, Kane, and for him to be his replacement. I think it'd be the toughest gig for whoever comes in. I think if he was to leave, we would need 2 strikers because a lot of pressure will be on their on one for sure. And you can't rely on Son all the time, and you can't rely on Bale if he's still there. So for me, it's got to be someone that knows the Prem. But who's out there? who is out there, you know?
There's not many available.
As I said, a Danny Ings type player. I'd love Danny Ings at Spurs. I think he'd be very good for us. But again, who knows?
Yeah, spot on. I was literally going to say, I think the only one that is a potential serious buy that's available within reason is probably Danny Ings. And even that's a massive downgrade from Harry Kane. So I think we're going to have to take the hit if he does go and just accept that we should have got further when we had Harry Kane. We should have invested around Harry Kane. You know,
we should have built off that Champions League, mate. You know, we always go on about Champions League finals and this and that. We obviously never won it. But you build from that, you know.
Yeah.
Joe's team, Liverpool, they sold Coutinho, brought in Alisson and Van Dijk, and look what happened to them. Champions. Doesn't need a whole squad. It doesn't need a whole rebuild. 2 or 3 players to get the juices flowing. Some of the average players will start building up themselves. You know what I mean?
Spot on. Yeah, that Liverpool comparison is literally what we need to be doing if Kane goes, and I have no faith that is going to happen at all.
No.
Well,
because what happens in...
go on. No, sorry.
I was going to say, because what happens in 3 years' time, 3-4 years, okay? Kane's going to retire. Spurs are always going to be around. So we need to look to the future regardless anyway. So, again, if Kane does leave, we've got to just get on with it. You know, I'd applaud him. I'd love to see him win things, but unfortunately, it wasn't with Spurs.
Yeah, spot on. And like you said, we've got to just say, you know, thanks for the memories, but you know, all the best at Man City or whoever it is he goes to, because we have no right to keep Harry Kane anymore, do we? We have no right.
No. I think his head's gone, and good luck to him.
Well, we're talking on a more positive note now. Well, hopefully, obviously the Euros starting tomorrow, Anthony, as you know, and England starting on Sunday. First of all, sort of trying to talk on a bit of a happier note. Are you looking forward to the Euros? Do you think England have got a good chance?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Euros. I think we've got a great bunch of players there, as we know, from all over the Premier League this year, and from seeing them. And yeah, I think we've got a good chance. I don't know if we'll win it, but we'll definitely get far for sure.
Yeah, agreed. I'm sort of I know it's hard to say. Again, England are disappointing, not as much as Spurs, but obviously very disappointing over the years. What chances do England have? Do you think that, you know, the likes of Phil Foden and Mason Mount, Harry Kane, are they going to lead us to sort of the semi-finals again, like the World Cup, or do you not think we'll get that far?
I think we'll get to the semi-finals. It's all about winning. Obviously, winning your group games, getting in early, get the wins in early, get a couple of wins under your belt, so you can progress from that. I don't want us to go against Croatia, for example, on Sunday, and then we just scrape a draw, and everyone's like, "Oh, wasn't that a good game?" I want to win the game, and then you carry on from that. And it just depends who, you know, until you come up with a class team.
Absolutely. Go on, Joe, give us an insight. Are England going to get any far, or are you feeling a bit like Anthony, probably semi-finals max?
I'm hoping semi-finals. It's a weird one because it's kind of like the World Cup again, because I'm looking at the, you know, how the brackets working and how teams are going to progress, and it actually looks like potentially finishing second will give you an easier draw than top in the group. Because if you come top, you play, I think, second place from the group of death, which is Germany, Portugal, and France. Whereas if you come, I think it's second, you play, I think it's probably going to be like Poland or Sweden or something like that. But at the same time, you can't, if you want to win the whole thing, you've got to play those teams. So I think you just got to have the winning mentality, keep the momentum going. We've got to win every game, which I think is definitely possible. There's a good chance. And, you know, I think Portugal, we could beat. France, be a tough one. I think it's going to be a good year. I was so happy with the World Cup, and you know I've got the most, you know, Euro fever I've ever had. I think really, because I'm really happy with the squad. Foden's got to start. Like, just there's a lot of excitement around, and I think we've even improved since the World Cup, and that was so exciting. We needed that. So I think semi-finals I'd be happy with, but I mean if we can get to the final, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, if we get to the final, it'd be amazing, but I don't think I could take it if we lost. I really couldn't, especially getting all the way to the final. And semi-final was crushing last year, wasn't it? So
if we get to the final, we win. I'm just saying, it's happening.
Go on, Anthony, give us a definitive answer. What's going to happen with England? Are we going to get to the final? We're going to win it? We're going to get to the semi-final and lose? What's your prediction?
I think it'll be a semi-final jobby.
Yeah,
I think we'll come up against the big boys, and then probably someone will make a mistake, and then we'll end up losing something like either 1-0 or 2-1, one of them jobs, like last 10 minutes.
Well, we've got it in record now, so we always come back to that one at the semi-final. I blame you for the curse. No, I'm feeling a little bit similar. Yeah, semi-final sort of thing. Right. Basically, that's it for the agenda. We're going to go on to the Q&A now. So we asked our followers, Anthony, as you know, some
go on, mate.
questions for you, and we'll start things off. So a bit of a negative one. We're going back to what we talked about earlier, but who will Fabio Paratici buy in the window, do you think? Obviously, we know who you'd like to sign, but who do you think he's going to bring in? And from what you've heard,
I think he's gonna go to the Italian league. I think there's talks of 2 players from Roma, but again, it's whether Jose would like to do business with the club that sacked him 6 days before a final. You know what I mean? So it's just so Spursy. I'd like Milenkovic. I'd like him as a defender, as a centre half. And I can't pronounce his name. You've got to forgive me. Demiral.
Yeah,
is that you say, Joe? Is that it?
Yeah.
Good player. So either of them two, I'll be very, very happy with for sure.
Yeah, I think, again, it's a case of what we'd be happy with, but we know what we're probably going to end up with is, like you said, the Roma rejects probably. So we'll see what happens. So another question sent in was, who's your favourite ever Spurs player?
Oh, mate, where do I go, man? It depends Depends what era, man. Ginola's up there, Klinsmann's up there, Gaza, Sheringham. It just depends on the era. I can't pick. It's like picking your favourite daughter or your favourite kid. Sorry. So yeah, it's impossible.
All right then. So give us one from the sort of the 80s, 90s, and then give us one from sort of modern day.
Late 80s, I'm going Gaza.
90s
when I was at school was definitely Sheringham and Klinsmann together. They were just, and Ginola thrown in as well. Early noughties, Defoe is up there.
Yeah.
And now would obviously probably be Kane.
Yeah, spot on, to be honest with you. Yeah, I would agree with most of them.
You can tell I like my strikers.
Yeah, you got to. As you can see, I've got Jermaine Defoe behind me, childhood hero of mine. So
JD,
completely
mate,
got
JD.
that one. Okay, nice answers. What's the most memorable goal you've seen live, or I guess on TV, if you haven't got a memorable one from live?
No, live is definitely the Harry Kane mask goal against Arsenal.
Oh, you were there?
Wow.
Right, I was there, mate. I've never seen. I've been to Champions League games there, and it's been great. Obviously, the Inter Milan game was brilliant at White Lane, but that game was just end to end, and Kane from that tight angle whipped it in, and obviously scored, and it took off that mask. And I've never heard White Lane at that time erupt as much as it did.
I bet. Yeah, even on telly, it sounded amazing. Being there is another step up, man.
Just insane.
Whereabouts were you sitting? Just so the followers know. Were you right behind the goal?
I was the other side of White Lane. So that was Paxton. So it's when, because it just came out of nowhere. It was on the corner flag, and I think it was Dele Alli.
Yeah. Sort
of flicked it around there, and it went. Anyway, it was just insane. Another goal as well against them, not down the road, was Carl Walker's last minute screamer. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
2012 or 13 or something. Yeah,
unreal.
So,
yeah, a few screamers against Arsenal over the years. Danny Rose as well was a good one, I guess.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that. I wasn't there for that one. I'll see it.
No, but you've seen some good ones. Did you, just out of curiosity, did you go to many of the Champions League ones in recent years, sort of at Wembley when we had that really good run against sort of Real Madrid, Barcelona?
I went to a couple. Yeah, I didn't go to the Barcelona because I couldn't face it. Because I knew Spurs would balls it up. I just watched it at home because I thought I'm not doing it to myself. Yeah,
Messi was unreal.
Yeah, Messi was unreal that night. Jeez, I mean, wow, I'd love to have seen him live for sure. But yeah, no, what a lane ones for me. The Inter Milan game, or was it the AC Milan? I think it was
AC Milan. AC Milan.
Did we beat them 2-1?
Yeah.
Was it Crouch and Pavlyuchenko?
Yeah,
was
spot on.
Pavlyuchenko.
I think you're spot on. I think it was AC Milan. Because Inter Milan was where we went away and Bale had that unreal hat trick. I think it was
the day of Bale, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, right. So it was AC Milan then.
I think so. You might be right with Inter Milan. I'm not on.
Yeah.
It was one of the Milans, but I know
one of the Milans. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, Messi was unreal that night. I was there, just ridiculous player. Anyway, next question: favorite era of Tottenham, sort of linking to what we were saying. So, like you were saying, you gone.
I know we get a lot of flack about the 90s, but I liked the late 90s, obviously when we won the Worthington Cup, and the mid 90s. I think when Yole took over, that's when I really, obviously I've always loved my club, but I sort of got a bit closer to the club when Martin Yole took over, and there was a bit of nice camaraderie there. Do you know what I mean? We had a good basis of players: Berber, Keane, Defoe, Robbo in goal. Do you know what I mean? We had something there. We had something special there. I just like the camaraderie myself.
Yeah, spot on. And even a bit further on than that, sort of the Luka Modric's were unreal to watch. Even Michael Wilson, King, unreal.
Yeah. Ledley, obviously, yeah, of course, yeah.
Cool. And sort of who's a tough one here, obviously, talking about the manager stuff. Who's your favourite manager for Tottenham over the years from what you've seen? Obviously, Poch is a good option, but is it Poch or is it maybe another manager?
Poch was good. Redknapp's up there for sure.
Yeah,
I think when Redknapp took over, we were 8 points and we were in the relegation zone. Obviously, Ramos left us in a bad state of affairs, and Redknapp came in, gave us the belief, and rejuvenated us.
Yeah,
so Redknapp's definitely up there for sure. Yeah,
spot on. Joe, have you got any questions for Anthony? I'm out of questions now, but you know they're all brilliant answers. Joe, you got anyone off the top of your head? Put him on the spot now.
That's all right. Did you see a lot of Berbatov live? Just because I know I'm a Tottenham fan, and it's a horrible admission because he was a United player, but he will forever be one of my favourite players anyway. And I wish I could have seen him live.
I saw Berber live. Yeah, unreal, man, unreal. Like he had we're talking about technically gifted players. He wasn't obviously the quickest, but his first touch. I remember the what game was it when he took the ball's come over. And he sort of like looked and he's glanced and he's I can't do it because I've got my feet up. But he just lifted the ball down. I'm trying to emulate that, you know, as if I'm Berbatov. But he was top, man. He was a top player. And I think we got the best years out of Berber, to be honest with you. I think when he went to United, obviously he won things and he was all right. But for me, we had the best of Berber for sure. He was unbelievable.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, I would agree. Berber was unreal. Him and Keane. Sort of
one of my favourite players. Ridiculous player. I love watching players like that.
Yeah, top man, top class.
So I've got one more. Sort of, what have you been on many away days with Tottenham, and if so, what's your kind of favourite one?
I've been a few away days, mate. My favourite one, which it wasn't at the time, was Old Trafford. And it was a Mendes goal that wasn't given.
Yes, I was talking about this the other day. Yes,
Yeah, I was there. It was a horrible Monday night or Wednesday night, one of the two.
Right, yeah.
And
was that Roy Carroll?
Roy Carroll. Yeah,
it was Roy Carroll. Yeah, he was basically lying down in the back of the net.
I remember looking at it the other day. Yeah,
just like wow, how that wasn't given, and that due to that goal, we never got into the Champions League because obviously we dropped 2 points.
Yeah, I remember.
So Spursy.
I was very young, but 2005, and I remember going into primary school the next day and sort of talking to my Man United mates, because obviously a lot of my friends were Man United, and they were going, "Oh yeah, it wasn't a goal," and I was thinking, at that age you do, but it's just such an annoyance because we never beaten Man United for so many years.
I know.
And it was just it was 0-0 in the end, wasn't it? So
it was 0-0. Yeah.
Were you near the goal? Could you clearly see it was over the line, or was it?
I could see it the minute it left his foot. I said to my pal, "This is going in." He went, "Shut up, Costa." And then you see the back of the goal, all the fans doing like head in hands.
Yeah.
If you look closely, there's people doing that.
Because everyone.
How was that not given? So that was a memorable away day for me, man. I've been to a few since then, but that was just tops it all off for the wrong reasons.
That's an amazing one to have memories of for the wrong reasons, but like it's kind of like you were there kind of moment,
Yeah.
That won't happen again with goal line technology. So that was a really rare.
You never know with us, mate. You never know with us.
Yeah.
Jan Vertonghen scored from his own half and we got given offside. So, I think it was against Leicester, wasn't it? He scored from our own half. Yeah, but it's Spurs, isn't it? Things,
We always have the worst moments as Spurs fans.
We do, mate. We do, fella.
Joe doesn't have to. Joe can just sit there and watch and write his reports. But no, that's everything, Anthony. Massive
Lovely.
Thanks for joining the podcast today. Really appreciate your time, and hopefully one day we can get you on again.
Definitely, man. Definitely next season, boys. Definitely. For sure.
Great stuff. I'm going to wrap up the podcast there, guys. Thank you so much for listening and watching the Spurs-related podcast. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit a subscribe button on YouTube or follow us on Spotify and Apple Pods. And guys, thanks again to Anthony, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.